Hey, what's happening guys? Mark back here at Mark's Aquatics. Now then, after last week, or sorry, after Wednesday's video of me showing you those lovely little mouth brooders, which are next door. I'll try and show you another picture of those. They've really messed up the tank being earth eaters, but I'll show you them in a bit later on. But I thought on today's little video, I've got a bit of a compilation over time of breeding these guys. Now what you're looking at here is the Longfin Albino Bristlenose Plecos. Now these are super nice little fish. She's full of eggs, and you can see her little fat belly there. He's in the cave, and I've just put them in here, and hopefully she's going to go in, and they're going to spawn hopefully over the lot. I've normally found with these guys they do it in the evening time. I've got a bit of a light, strongish light over the top, which is not really favourable, but it's just so I can show you guys. Now I've taken the sponge filter out because she'd have shot straight behind that, and go on, in you go. No, she'd have shot straight in there, straight behind it, and you wouldn't have seen her. So I've just taken the sponge filter out for now, and the heater, you can see that's raised up inside the tank at the back there. So she's just shooting up there now, she's coming along. He's hiding right in the back there. He's been coming out for most of the morning, waving his little tail around, and trying to entice her in there, but she hasn't gone in as yet, but she will do in time. Yeah, like I said guys, normally she'll go in. They say they're stirring it up a little bit at the moment. I've got some prawn substrate in there just so it darkens up the base, just gives them, makes them feel a little bit more at home. I'm going to put a bit of wood in there later on, but the initial, this is all I'm showing you really, is just the type of fish that she is. What a pretty fish she is. He's exactly the same. The difference between bristlenose male and female, if you're unsure, as you can see around her nose, she's hardly got any little bristles at all. She's got some slight bristles around the top of her lip and around the front of her nose, but the males have got very, very pronounced bristles on the nose, very, very easily to tell apart. But they need to be over sort of like 3 or 4 months, maybe 3 months, before you can really start to see the difference in between the sexes. They're very hard to sex while they're very small, but these, like I say, I can't go in there, and if I shine a light in there I'm going to try and defeat the object of showing you what's been going on and what's hopefully will go on. Okay, so hopefully she's going to go in that pot, and we'll have some eggs. Now then, when they do go in and they do spawn, she will go in. I'll just point with my little tongs now. He's right in the back here. Now she'll go in, okay, he'll trap her in there like Plex do, and then what she'll do is she'll lay all of her eggs on the top of the pot, on the inside of the pot here, on the roof. Okay, and then once that's gone on, once that's finished, she'll then come out, or he'll push her out, and then that's her part of the job done. You can remove her then from the tank, from the spawning tank like this, or if you've got a normal community tank, you can just leave them in there, do their thing. As long as you provide a pot, they'll go their separate ways. He'll bring the fry up, and they'll slowly drift out the pot in time when they're ready. So they'll lay them on the roof, up in the pot, up in the hide. Then he will just sit under there, upside down sometimes, and he will just keep fanning away with his little fins, making sure that no fungus builds up on those eggs. He'll keep those eggs nicely oxygenated until they're ready to hatch, and they'll do that in about maybe 3 to 4 days. They'll start wriggling, they'll break out, and then what he'll do, he'll waft his tail, and that'll knock out all those old egg cases and things that'll come out. You can take those out just to keep rid of keep those nitrates and things down, and they'll stay in there then for another, say, another week, absorb that yolk sac, and then over time you'll start to see them slowly creeping out the pot all over the substrate. Now I've put this substrate in there because they're going to be little white ones, little white babies that are going to come out. So I put the darker substrate in there, so it's really going to show them up for you guys to see when they actually do hatch. Okay, so all we're waiting for now is for her to go in the pot with him. Like I say, he was out before, but he's just decided to dart in, which is just what happens when you're trying to film any species of fish and you're trying to show somebody. These things just automatically happen, so it's not, you know, nothing to worry about. I've given you the differences between the males and females. If you're unsure, you can always pop back. I've done another video as well with the common bristlenose, but I thought because these were up to breeding condition and they were ready to spawn, I just thought I'd show you this as well, just to add another episode to the series of how to breed fish. Okay, so that's it now. She's got to go in that pot, do her egg laying, and then hopefully I'll skip forward and do a couple of more videos in a couple of more days time, and I can link them all together for you and show you what's been going on. Okay, and just as I speak, big cloud, a big puff of dust comes up, and she is just shot straight in there with him. Hopefully she's going to stay in there now. I'm going to leave him in some peace and quiet. Going to move this light, get that a little bit darker, even though it's very dark in that pot now, just to get that light down a little bit dimmer, make them feel a little bit more secure, and then probably now overnight they'll lay the eggs. I can check with a torch first thing in the morning, and I'll let you know what's going on. Okay guys? Right, okay guys, it's the next morning. Now if you can see, there's a little head there poking out. That's her. Now she's laid the eggs, they're in the pot, he's in the pot, and he's pushed her now to the back of the pot. She's been a little bit reluctant to leave. Oh, here we go, she might come out now. Come on then. No, go back in again. She's going to play the in and out game. Right, that's okay. I'll make sure now I can take her out. When she leaves the pot totally, I've just taken the filter out again, and I've just lifted that up again. I just want you to see as much as you can, alright guys, before I put everything back in. And every time I film, I'll take these things out so you can see, okay? That's probably the easiest way, so you get maximum vision, because you know Plecos are super. Whoop. Come on then, out you come. You're not going to do it. She's not going to do it. Every time she tries to come out, she's seeing that light and it's forcing her back in. So I think what I'll do is, I'll just drop that heater back in there a minute. And I'll just bring that light to the side, make it a little bit darker, and then that might encourage her then to come out. And when she does, I can remove her then, put her back into the my big bench tank, where I got them out from. I was going to let them do the spawn in there, but I thought I'd bring it out and show you guys the process, because they're very, very cute little guys when they first hatch and they first come out and they first venture out the pot, when you can see them. So she just needs to leave the premises now, because I'll never get her out. She's never going to. I'll never get them out, and you're just going to upset everything and disturb the eggs. You'll upset him, and there is a possibility that he might eat the eggs, because they do that when they get super stressed out. They'll eat the eggs. Sometimes they'll even eat the fry. Come on, little girl. Right, okay, guys. Now we've had a bit of a jump fast forward here. Right, bear with me while I just set you up again. Now you're looking at the male's tail right there, sticking out. I'll just turn off the main workshop light. Now then, fast forwarding, I took her out of the pot, put her back into the bench tank. We've had the eggs in there. The eggs have hatched, and the fry have nearly absorbed their yolk sacs, so they're nearly ready to come out. And I think I could probably lift the pot and show you guys. I've just taken out the filter again, like I said, and the heater. Just move that to a side, just so you guys can see. Well, we got lots and lots of little babies in there now, which might come out or they might not. So if I just go in, you'll see my hand go in. And what I'll do is, I'll just, hey, look at that. There we go. I'll just flush a few out. Whoa, look at that lot. There's no end of them coming out. He's going to stay in the pot because he'll wedge himself in there. And you can see now how many are in there. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to move the light out the way. I'm just going to put this pot now very, very carefully down the things I do for you guys to make sure I don't get any little guys crushed in there. There we go, that's better. And then I'll put the light back over the top and we can go in for a closer look. My goodness, look at that lot. That's a right little clutch of babies there. Bear with me while I set the tripod up for you. Now these are probably all going to go back in again, but these are going to be stunning little guys. You can see they're already having a go on the substrate and on the glass. Look at that lot, absolutely beautiful. Okay, Dad's just popped out to see what's going on. There's a few of the fry now just zipping up to the surface, grabbing little gulps of air. They do that sometimes. And Dad's coming out of his pot. And these guys are now, they're big enough to actually start feeding on their own. So I'm going to be putting some spirulina flakes in there, little spirulina tablets, stuff of that nature, so they can have a nice little feed and start rasping away. Now there's algae on the glass as well, so they're going to be feeding on that. There's probably algae all over the pot, as you can see on the top there. It's pretty green, so they're going to be feeding on that. It's still got a bit of yolk sac left, so there's not a great deal of urgency to start feeding them. But we've got a good little lot out there. There must be 30 or 40 there, could be more in total. So that's fantastic news. So what I'm going to do, it's very important now to get a piece of wood. So now the babies are in there, what I can do is now I can take that main pot out and I'm going to put that now back into my bench tank. Okay, so I'll get back to you when I've done that. Now then guys, what I will say with Bristlenose is they really do like a heavily planted tank with lots of hiding places to go and breed, okay? And sometimes people have difficulties when they don't provide them with what they need, and they're not going to breed. They won't breed for them as they want them to. But what I did is I kept them, as we'll just nip across next door here to my bench tank, as you can see all the other fish in there. We've got some Congo tetras there, look. We're going to fatten them guys up, maybe give them a breed. I've got some oh, the name's gone now. I'm getting old. It'll come to me. Diamond tetras. We've got a pair of diamond tetras there as well, which we're going to try and have a go at maybe one of these days once we get them conditioned up. But as you can see, there's the pots, there's the male in there down the base, and the shrimps are now all over the place picking up all the algae off that as well, so that's giving them some food. But they like a heavily planted tank just like we've got here. Okay, lots of plants, lots of cover, and they've got their tubes that they like to go in, and once they know where their tubes are, they'll readily use them. They'll get used to each other, condition them up well too, okay, feed them lots of bloodworms, lots of different things of that nature. You can put plenty of veggies in there, cucumbers, any boiled vegetables. They like a bit of mushroom as well. You can boil up a bit of mushroom, that'll sink, or put a little bit on a holder or something just to keep it weighed down, and feed them a varied diet and fatten them right up. And the more you feed them and the quality food that you feed them, she'll fill up with eggs and they'll be breeding for you in no time, okay? A little bit stirred up in there still, but if you're having trouble getting your bristlenose to spawn, what you should do is drop your water level in your tank, do a water change, drop that water level down maybe 20%, take quite a bit out, and then refill it back up again with some cold water. And that cold water then going in will mimic the rains coming, okay? Sometimes you can leave it for a couple of days, like with my zebra plecos, which I've got. I'll drop the water level down, turn the heaters off for a few hours and let that temperature drop as I'm refilling it with water slowly. That then they'll think that the rains have come, the temperature's dropping. That will encourage them to spawn then, because you've been nicely feeding them up, conditioning them up ready to spawn. Then they'll get that cold water coming through, they'll see, here comes the rain, it's time to spawn, and they'll go to town. This works fantastically with corries as well. Any of the corridoris, they love that, dropping that water level, cold water going in, and that really activates a spawn. But like I said, lots of plants. Make sure you've got lots of plants in there, good established, well-conditioned pair, and you're going to be going from there. If you go into your pet shops, like I've said before, keep your eyes open when you go in the tanks, because they're always conditioning up these fish, and you might come across in one tank, you're going to come across a really nice male, and he'll be just raring to go, and in one of the other tanks, because they'll put them in their separate tanks, you see, to keep the algae down in the tank. So with them regularly being fed, but they're not coming out during the day from under their logs, they'll come out at night and hoover up all the food that's left, and have a look around in the tanks and see if you can see them. When they're stuck to the glass, you can actually see if they're big and fat, swollen little bellies, you know they're full of eggs, and then you could get that one from that tank, the male from another tank, and you've got an instant pair. Then you can put them in a tank, like a breeding tank like this would be, and sometimes they're that eager because they've been apart, they'll breed for you that way as well, and they'll be straight in that pot and they'll be laying eggs, and then you can move her out, or if you like, maybe take her back once the male's looking after the eggs and you've got a whole new load of bristlenoses to be going on with, to start a nice little breeding project up, or to make some money out of them. It's entirely up to you, but it's all good fun. I thoroughly enjoy breeding fish, and I've done for many years, and it never gets old seeing the baby fish coming out of a pot. Like, we just poured them out, and I know now they're going to be perfectly alright, feeding away on all this algae in this little tank, and then we'll move them across, like I said, into the other tank, and they'll get a really good head start. I'll try and get you a little bit of a close-up shot of them now, okay? There you go, that's a little bit better. Now you can still see some of the yolk sacs, that yellow in there, and amongst their little tummies. There you go, there's a good one. You can also see the digestive tract as well. You can see a couple of them there working away on those, rasping away on that gravel. That's going to have all bacteria, different things, which is going to colonise their guts and get them going. But you can see that little swirl of intestine in there, and their little... There you go, that's a little bit better. And that little stomach getting to work already. And they're going to be putting on some weight. Some of them are, a couple of them at the back there on the log, on that little arch, sorry. But a lot of them are just chilled out. Probably are a little bit stunned because of the light. But I've moved it to the back now, and they can always hide under that little in there now. If they need to get away from me or need to get away from the light, they can hide away nicely. There's lots of them up on the glass here as well. That's a nice little hatch, that is. Very happy with that. Right, I think I'll put the workshop light on now for you chaps, and I'll show you these zebra danios and how they've grown. Right guys, before I do that, I've just put another piece of wood in there for them to graze on. I'm going to leave them in here for today, and then what I'm going to do is, if we nip next door, you can see a seething mass of zebra danios here, which we bred on one of the last series. If you're new to the channel, pop back and have a look how to breed zebra danios, and I did one on neon tetras as well. We'll have a look at those little chaps as well while we're in the workshop. I'm not going to do another video on them as yet, because they're going to be fried for the next few weeks, so it seems a bit silly to me just to keep doing video after video showing fry. So I'll do more of a jump, and you can see the more of the growth rate. But if I get closer in now, it might focus on some, it might not, maybe some more at the back, but you'll see they're starting to get a bit of colour. You see that lovely little blue on the eye, and some of the blue, that blue streaking and metallic silver coming through on their scales now, which is nice. All got nice little fat bellies on them, full of infusoria and full of microworms, and I've just hatched out a big heap of brine shrimp for them as well, so we're going to bring them on as well. I've got the old tank next door there, but there's something in there which I'm not going to tell you about. I'm going to tell you about that next Wednesday, because that's going to be the next breeding project. So they're all good. You can see there's a good growth rate on them guys. They're doing extremely well. And also, I'll take you through to the baby tetras now. Now I'm not sure if you can see them in there, but They put on a bit of weight. There's quite a few. They tend to hug the, let me try and move that toweling out of the way. They tend to hug the base a lot more. You can see them right down the bottom there. I'll try and get a nice closer view in on the base there. It's going to be a little bit glary, I'm sorry. But there you go, you can see a few of the tetras there. Now they're still on the micro worms, on these water worms, and I've just made up a load more cultures there. You can see them climbing up the side. I've got a video on those guys if you're new to the channel, how to culture those. You can go back and have a look. But there's a good 30 in there, I suppose, around the base. I can see them all over the place. Actually, I'll try and get my little torch in the side, and you might be able to see a few more. As we drift across the base, you'll pick them up. But there is quite a few, and it's nice to see. Looking forward to them getting a bit more weight on and stocking the bench tank up with those guys. So we've got lots of babies in the workshop at the moment. Like I've said before, guys, it's the breeding of these fish is pretty straightforward. You've just got to provide them with the right parameters, the right pHs, the right acidities. If they're soft water fish, provide them that. If they're more hard water fish, look it up online, study how these things are bred, and then you've just got to get these microcultures going, and then you're going to be away. I've shown you how easy it is to breed these things so far, and I hope some of you are trying it and giving it a go, because if you want a big shoal of tetras, it's very, very possible to do, especially if you've got a smallish tank and you want 30 to 50 tetras. One spawn, you're going to get those if you bring them up and you get the foods right. And you make these little cultures up. But that's a lovely little heap of plecos there. Really happy with that hatch rate. In the workshop as well, sorry, in my shrimp room, I've got my big male bristlenose, the big common one, and the other longfin female I put in there with him, and they've crossbred now, so they're going to be interesting. They're wrigglers at the moment, but I'll keep you updated on those when they actually come out. I just want to concentrate on these at the moment, but they could be interesting. You know, different colours, or unless that the common gene's going to override the longfin gene, I'm not sure. I've never crossbred them before, but I thought she was full of eggs, so I put them together, and within 24 hours she had laid the eggs and he was guarding them. So that's brilliant stuff. Anyway, as always, I'm going to keep you up to date with all these things, with all these little fry, how they're getting on, how they're going to progress. What I'm going to probably do is, as you can see in there, that gravel now is a little bit green, and that is absolutely perfect for these plecos. But I wanted to put them in here first so you could see them. Now you can imagine once they go in amongst that lot, you'll see them, but they're going to be a lot more camouflaged in amongst those pebbles and the different colours, because they're quite light colour. So, but there's tons and tons of algae in this tank, which the zebra danios don't eat. There's a load of it on the filter there, loads of it on the top where the food drifts down, and they'll clean all that up as well. So I'll probably bring them all up in this one tank for the time being, and as these zebra tetras get bigger, I'll take them out, I'll thin them down, and that'll keep the nitrates down, and I can move them some around then into some of my other tanks, because they'll just keep the other tanks clean in the shrimp room. I'll put some in with the shrimps as well. They're not going to harm the shrimp. They'll just keep the tanks nice and clean and eat all the debris off the bottom and the stuff that you can't see. But it's all good fun. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to give it a day or so, and then I'll end up putting them all in here, I think. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in for Sunday's video. As always, you're all stars, love you loads, take care, and I'll see you on the next episode of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.